what is going on, my specialist? SPC here. Welcome back to the channel for a brand new video. So, Halloween Kills is finally out, which means we now have 12 films in the Halloween franchise. And obviously, of course, with a new film comes a new ranking video. So, I wanted to take some time and rank all 12 of the Halloween films from my least favorite to my favorite. So, with that being said, let's slash on into this. Thank you guys so much for clicking on the video. If you guys are new here, please consider clicking that subscribe button, turning on the notifications so you guys don't miss any future videos or live streams, and of course, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. Now, I did do a ranking of the Halloween franchise back in 2018 when obviously Halloween 2018 came out. I will link it up here if you guys want to see that ranking before, and then come back and check this one out. I have got to say, you guys, since Halloween 2018 came out, my list has changed pretty drastically, which I'm very surprised at because there were films in this franchise I absolutely despised. There are films in here that I absolutely loved. And now with the release of these previous two films, all of a sudden my list has changed pretty decently. So, where do all my films rank? Well, let's find out together. So coming in at number 12, my least favorite of the Halloween franchise is going to be Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Now, this actually dropped down. My previous last place actually surprisingly went up, and you guys are going to see why, because I'm actually surprised at where it is. But Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers really doesn't do anything for the franchise. It doesn't add anything new. It's honestly, for me personally, has the worst Michael Myers in the entire franchise. No disrespect to Don Shanks himself, but he is not a good Michael Myers. From his mask to the way he does things, to me, Don Shanks is not the shape. He is just some guy in a mask who's very clumsy. Obviously, of course, too, we bring back Danielle Harris, and she's a mute for a good 70% of the film, and she really only says a couple of lines here and there. They kill off Rachel in the first 20 to 30 minutes of the film, which I don't understand why they would do that, because she was probably one of, if not the best character in the previous film. And as much as I love Dr. Loomis, he's, again, my second favorite character in this entire franchise, the heart and soul, personally, to me, of Halloween, alongside with Michael. But he is just crazy in this film. I don't know why they went the direction he did. I'm sure he's getting very tired of having to go through this same thing on Halloween every year. And of course, easily the worst character in this entire franchise, Tina. Need I say more? So Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, is at number 12. Coming in at number 11, what is universally known as the least favorite of the Halloween franchise, but I'm going to sit here and willingly say it's a guilty pleasure of mine. And that is Halloween Resurrection. Yes. I know some of you probably cringed, but hear me out. This is one of the first Halloween films that I actually got to see from start to finish. Because the very first Halloween that I actually saw was, obviously, of course, the 78 film. I only got to see bits and pieces of it. But this one, I actually really enjoyed growing up. Obviously, of course, now, as somebody who's almost in their 30s, you definitely see a lot of the bad parts of the film. You see the bad acting, the bad effects. You see the really bland portrayal of Michael Myers. But I am going to say, I actually don't mind Brad Lorry as Michael Myers. I don't mind the mask. I know that's a lot of people's criticisms about the film, is him as Michael Myers, but I don't think he's a bad Myers. Definitely could use a little bit more, personally. Obviously, of course, everybody with the biggest cardinal sin at the beginning of the film, killing off Laurie Strode in the first 15 minutes of the film. I'm not entirely bothered because at this point I was kind of getting a little bored of Laurie Strode. But I do think she could have made it throughout the film a lot more. She could have obviously done a lot more. Could have been involved within the finale. And honestly, guys, the characters in this are just bland. I mean, the final girl, Sarah's not too interesting. All the side characters aren't really all that interesting either. And obviously, of course, Busta Rhymes. Once again, just like with Tina, need I say more? But I can say I can actually sit through this and enjoy myself for a decent portion of the film, but overall, I can see why people universally put this at the bottom of the list. So, Halloween Resurrection comes in at number 11. Coming in at number 10, dropping down just a little bit farther, and I've never really been a big fan of this film, so unfortunately, and I don't have a lot of nostalgia with this film, so just hear me out. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I don't think this is a terrible film. I'm just a little mixed on it, because for me, it's not that I don't enjoy elements of this film. There are a lot of things in here that are actually really good. I don't mind the acting. Some of the acting is, hit or miss for me. Tom Atkins has always kind of been that way. Every time I've seen him in a John Carpenter film, I've never been the biggest fan of him, but obviously I like the masks. The masks are awesome. I like some things they do with the Silver Shamrock Company. Just, again, for me, just some things don't really work. I didn't find this scary in any way, shape, or form until the ending where they kind of leave it open and ambiguous to what actually happened when Tom Atkins is screaming on the phone for them to take down the commercial. And just overall, I was kind of bored throughout a decent portion of this. Again, not a bad film, just not one of my favorites. So, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch comes in at number 10. This is the biggest surprise on this ranking. I honestly cannot believe that this happened. Coming in at number 9 is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I hated this film. There are so many things about this film that just never worked for me. I've seen this film 3 times prior to rewatching the entire franchise here lately. I didn't rewatch it for Halloween 2018. I haven't rewatched this film probably in over a decade. But I decided to sit down. I decided to give the Rob Zombie movies a chance because I knew there were things about the first Halloween film, which again, you guys will see where that is here in a little bit. But it's always been Halloween 2 that's been the one that never worked for me. I hated every single thing about it. Well, I gotta say, you guys, there actually are some pretty decent things in this film. I cannot believe I'm even saying this because I really don't like Rob Zombie's direction within this franchise. The first thing I gotta give Rob Zombie credit for is his directing. His directing is miles better, personally, in this film than it is in his first Halloween film. Cinematography, the lighting, everything, it's gorgeous. I can honestly say that. It's awesome. The acting definitely is gotten a little better. Obviously, you still have your Rob Zombie isms in there with the constant swearing, the constant nudity, the over-the-top gore, all that stuff, but the kills actually were pretty graphic in here, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's just coming off of Halloween Kills that I just enjoyed it a lot more. And I actually like how they do things with Myers in this film. How the only time he gets ready to kill is when he puts the mask on. It adds more of an element to the mask, which they never have done in any of the other films. But again, obviously, the negatives are kind of, scattered throughout. I hate Dr. Loomis in this film. Malcolm McDowell does do a good job acting, but I've never been a fan of this Loomis. This is the worst Loomis in the franchise, personally, for me. Unfortunately, I've only seen the unrated cut. Everybody says the theatrical cut is miles better than this, so obviously I need to give that one a chance at some point in life. I didn't really like what they did with Laurie. It works better in here, how destroyed and how broken she is, than how it is in Halloween 2018. That's the one negative I have about Halloween 2018. But I can willingly say that this film actually grew on me. And again, I am in shock that I'm even saying this, but I can tolerate Halloween 2 a lot more now. So, that's why it is here at number 9. Just literally slightly above it, and it's not by very much, of course, is the first Rob Zombie's Halloween. I think we can all universally say the first act is almost unwatchable. It is so cringy to watch. Hearing all the things that Ronnie says at the dinner table, everything that they do with Michael throughout this, just the broken home. And I understand that's what Zombie wanted to do. He wanted to show us how Michael actually gets to where he is, and I understand that. Perfectly respectable. But it's just too much, unfortunately. It doesn't work for me personally. It's too almost rednecky the way that it is done. But once you get past that, once you get to when Michael is actually an adult, breaks out, you get the whole actual John Carpenter's Halloween storyline. For me, it's a lot better and a lot more entertaining and enjoyable because you don't get a whole lot of the Rob Zombie-isms. You get them here and there with some characters and some of their dialogue, but for me, it's shot a lot better. It looks the best, and I really like how amped up the third act is. Once again, no offense to the original Halloween, but I like how ramped up it is. It kind of actually gets the motor rolling a lot better. You actually feel scared for Laurie throughout this. You feel bad for everything that happens throughout the film. But again, guys, it's really just that whole first act of the film that just drops this down so much for me. So, Rob Zombie's Halloween comes in at number 8. Number 7. The most disappointing film for me on this list is Halloween Kills. If you guys haven't watched my spoiler-free review for Halloween Kills, it is going to be linked up here. Make sure you guys go check that out. I waited 3 years for this film to come out. I was so amped up. I was anticipating to where they were going to go with the rest of this story. And I walked out of the theater so disappointed. Biggest positives for the film I can give you without actually getting into it. Myers, the kills, the flashback sequence, the score, all that is incredible. Everything else in this film just doesn't work for me. The legacy characters in there, I don't understand why they're there, personally to me. Even some of the newer characters from the previous film, they get kind of stepped down and watered down to where they were in the previous film. And the dialogue. The dialogue is the biggest thing that gets me with this film. It is just so cringy, the way they deliver the lines. And the one character in this film, again, I will just save that for my spoiler-free review. You guys can go check that out. But the one character in this film, honestly, brings this down literally almost an entire star for me. So, not going to get too much into this one. Just the most disappointing film here on this list. Halloween Kills at number 7. Dropping down from its original spot at number 2. In 6th place now is the original Halloween 2. Now, this is still a film I can still sit there and enjoy a vast portion of it, but the last few times I've watched it, I just have been so bored watching this film. I honestly sit there and look at my phone more. There's a decent section of this film where they're just inside the hospital. There's nothing exciting going on. It's just a lot of dialogue. When you get to Dr. Loomis and the nurse, and along with the sheriffs and all that, it gets a little bit more interesting, but it's when we're inside the hospital until we actually get to that final act where Myers is back chasing Laurie. I just get so bored. I don't like Dick Warlock as Michael Myers either. I don't like the way the mask looks at him. I don't like the way he walks. He's just too robotic. To me personally, he's not the worst Myers. I already gave you guys my thoughts on who the worst Meyer is in this franchise, but he is definitely down there for me. Just doesn't work. Good score, decent kills, and unfortunately, I don't even know why They even brought Laurie Strode back for this film because she's literally only in maybe 10 to 15 minutes of the film overall. We get introduced to the new characters. They're kind of more involved in the storyline, but it's still a film, like I said, I can enjoy, but it's just a film that unfortunately has just fallen from its high pedestal for me. So, Halloween 2 at number 6. Another film jumping up from second to last place on my previous ranking. I know I'm probably spoiling this for you guys from my previous ranking video, but that is going to be Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, I'm basing this on the theatrical cut. I did just recently watch the producer's cut. I'm not going to get into that too much. There are some things in there I can say willingly that I do like a little bit more than the theatrical cut, but to me, the theatrical cut is a lot more interesting, a lot more pacing is better in it. I actually am surprised at how much I really enjoyed this film. I love George P. Wilbur as Michael Myers. He's honestly probably up there as one of the best Michael Myers in this entire franchise. The kills are awesome. The atmosphere is incredible. You can definitely tell that it's fall. And some of the side characters are actually pretty decent. I actually like Kara in this film. I didn't like her the first time I watched this, but it's starting to grow on me. Obviously, of course, the negatives are there as well. The whole Cult of Thorn storyline, obviously, again, universally, nobody likes it. I can agree with that. I don't know why they ever went that direction with this franchise. Michael is just pure evil. He's not controlled by a cult, so I don't know why they ever did that. Obviously, Paul Rudd's performance as Tommy Doyle is very cringy. But obviously, one of the biggest positives I have to give this film is, of course, this is Donald Pleasance's final performance. Not only just in film, but as Dr. Loomis, because unfortunately he did die during production of this film. And I really do think he gives a good performance. You feel really sad watching the film because you know it's his last, but you can tell how just tired and worn out this Dr. Loomis is, how he just doesn't want to go through this anymore. Just how exhausted he is mentally. Doesn't want to do this with Michael anymore. Of course, you get two different endings in the producer's cut and the theatrical cut. That's up to you which one you like the best. But overall, again, I am another surprising up in the ranking. I don't know how to say that, sorry, but I really enjoyed this film. I actually get very excited now every time it's time to watch this one. So, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Halloween H2O, 20 years later. Another great film in this franchise. Honestly, the third act of this film is honestly the best of the entire franchise. Besides the original Halloween, I will willingly say that. You get a great performance by Jamie Lee Curtis coming back. Actually, this was her idea to actually bring this storyline forward. And I think it went pretty well. Obviously, you get a lot of, Scream references and familiarity in it. But where it kind of falls is when we're in the school, we're not really with Michael. It kind of just bogs down a little bit. It's not really exciting. It's kind of boring. Some dialogue here is pretty good. But when you get to that third act, it's Michael versus Laurie. Just that entire battle is awesome. And of course, the shocking ending to this film where Laurie chops off Michael's head. Honestly, like I said, the second best ending in this entire franchise to me personally. So, Halloween H2O comes in at number 4. Number 3 is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Another film, again, I love and adore in this franchise. It really does feel like it ties in good with that original 1978 film. You get the mood, you get the atmosphere, you get the great characters, you get a scary Michael Myers, and I'm going to say this, unpopular opinion. I actually don't mind the mask in this film. I actually think the mask has grown in the creep factor personally for me when it comes to the look. Obviously, of course, a lot of people look at it and they really don't like the mask. I can still say it's not entirely grown on me as like one of my favorites in the franchise, but I do willingly think it is creepy. It fits how Loomis describes Myers: the blank, pale, emotionless face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. And obviously you get a great cast of characters. You bring in Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd, who honestly is probably, in my opinion, the best final girl in this entire franchise. The third best character in the franchise, I'm going to even say. You bring back Dr. Loomis. Obviously they don't entirely explain how he survived the big explosion in the hospital. And you bring in Rachel, honestly probably one of the other best characters in this entire franchise. You get a great pacing throughout the film. But again, it's just a lot of side characters that don't work for me. A couple things here and there that are very far-fetched when it comes to Myers and everybody else in this franchise. But still, honestly, one of the most solid entries into the franchise. Of course, having to bring back Myers after the financial flop of Halloween 3 without them having Michael Myers in it. So I'm really glad that they did decide to do this film, because it works for me. It works for a lot of people who are Halloween fans. And it is a great entry into the franchise. And that is why it comes in at my third favorite Halloween film. Alright guys, top 2. Obviously, if you guys have process of elimination in your head, we're down to the 1978 film and the 2018 film. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys get down there, drop down below, and tell me what your guys' ranking is of the Halloween franchise. Because this is not the definitive list, it is just my definitive list. And it's obviously going to change over time, so make sure you guys get down there and join me down below. My number 2 is the 2018 film. This film works in almost every way possible for me. It does so many things well. Obviously, of course, you know there are negatives. I can't say this is a perfect film for me. But for me, it is the best sequel of the entire franchise. It works the best for me. It's got great pacing. It's got some really good new characters into the franchise as well. For me personally, as much as I loved the score of the original Halloween film, I personally think this is the best score of the entire Halloween franchise. The Shape Hunts Allison, oh, it's up there as top tier score when it comes to the Halloween score, obviously. Obviously, though, the negatives are there, you know. The amount of comedy in the film does not work for me still. And obviously, Dr. Sartain, I don't even know why they even added him into this, because it doesn't work at all. His little turn or whatever he does is just not good at all, I'm sorry. And obviously, personally for me, in a mixed element, I do like how Jamie Lee Curtis does portray Laurie Strode, but I still personally think that with how broken she is 40 years later, how just paranoid she is about Michael, how she's got it in her head that Michael is going to be searching for her, going to kill her. It's just too far-fetched. I can't enjoy it. But I'm going to say, when it comes to James Jude Courtney, again, I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. You guys can get my opinions on him in my Halloween Kills spoiler-free review when you guys go check that out. But I think he is a great Myers. I like how he can still bring the shape to life, but also bring the brutality of George P. Wilbur's Michael Myers into this as well. I like the third act. Obviously, I don't really like, you know, the blue ball ending of all of a sudden he's there and then he's gone. Don't know where he is, how he's going to escape. Obviously, we find out in Halloween Kills. But I love this film. It's honestly up there in my top 20 favorite horror films of all time. And it is still, personally to me, the best sequel in the franchise. So that's why Halloween 2018 is at number 2. I mean, did you guys expect anything else? Number 1 is John Carpenter's Halloween. I mean, what can I say about this film that hasn't already been said? It's honestly a horror masterpiece to me, and a horror masterpiece to a lot of people. I have actually seen a couple of rankings, surprisingly, that this film is not number 1. I'm honestly was shocked by that, but everybody's entitled to their own opinions. I respect that. But, again, what can I say about this film that hasn't been said already? The birth of Michael Myers. It's phenomenal. It's the creepiest Myers of the franchise. It's paced well. You bring in some awesome characters. You bring in the Halloween score. It's perfection. The way everything is shot. Cinematography. the lighting, everything. It's perfect. It's one of my favorite films of all time. And, I mean, there really, to me, isn't any problems with this film. Yeah, obviously, some acting and some things haven't aged very well, but it really doesn't take me out of the moments at all. It's still a phenomenal film. Perfection at its best within horror. And those are the reasons why Halloween from 1978 is at number 1. So that is going to do it for my ranking of the Halloween franchise. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I didn't make too many people mad. Make sure you guys go down below in the comments section. Give me your guys' ranking of the Halloween franchise. And again, go check out my spoiler-free review for Halloween Kills. Get my overall full thoughts on it. We are also going to be dedicating a podcast to the film, spoiler filled. So if you guys haven't seen it, make sure you guys go check out the film first. Come and join us on the Midwest Horror Central podcast. I will leave some links here somewhere. And with that being said, you guys, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you in the next one.